It's a modified version of a contest problem written by David Altizio back in 2015, updated it for the year 2023. Now we have a function that's defined, it's a function of two variables, and we define this thing recursively, I guess, or with respect to composition, iteratively, whatever language you want to use, but I think there's a clear pattern right here. It's just f. Notice you f composed with itself twice. You see two f's right here, f, f. F composed with itself 3 times. You see F, F, F. And this isn't quite strictly speaking composition, because I guess the first element is always going to be 2 for this particular problem, but it's much like the composition operator that you see. Now, of course, the red dots here mean and so on, vertical ellipsis. All right, now let's move along. Now, the notation that we're using right here, this would be just the very first iteration. I guess we could call it, or we should call it, f parend 1, right? You'll notice the parens are actually pretty useful here, because you might think it meant an exponent otherwise. In this context, it's hard to make, it's hard to, that wouldn't normally be a problem, but the parens, I think, is useful. It seems kind of clunky, but it's not an exponent. All right, so that's what we mean. F at 1 is just the first iteration. F at 2 is the second iteration. That's F superscript, paren, blah blah. But anyway, you see a pretty clear pattern right here when you go through and do the arithmetic, and you'll notice right here. Again, this is straightforward arithmetic right here. Now f at 2 just takes the output. You see the 3/2 is here, right? The 3/2 is here. This is the output of the preceding iteration, if you want to call it that. So you get 1 over 3/2 here, but 1 divided by 3/2 is 2/3, and 2 minus 2/3 is 4/3. Now notice again, the output at this stage is the input at this next stage, the third iteration. Okay? And so 1 divided by 4/3 is the same as 3/4. 2 minus 3/4 is the 5/4 you see here. But you guys can see there's this nice pattern going on right here. See, this would be equal to 1 plus 2 over 1 plus 1. Right? Now that's, by itself, you wouldn't take much stock in that. But right here, this is equal to 2 plus 2. Over 2 plus 1. Right? So that's kind of cool. And the very same thing happens down here. I won't write it down because I think it's very clear what the pattern is. All right. And so what we get in general, again, the very same thing right here. This would be 3 plus 2 over 3 plus 1. I won't write that down. But notice what we get here in general is that, and I'll write this sort of shorthand right here. We just get f at n of 2 comma 2 is always going to equal to n plus 2 over n plus 1. Right, so you see all the work we're saving here? Again, the nice pattern worked out very well. And so right here in this particular case, that would be 2023 plus 2 is 2025. $2,025 over 2024. 2024, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, and that's the solution. I thought it was kind of nice. And again, a gentleman by the name of David Altizio with, I think there was he's a very good math contest problem composer writer. He came up with this. He used something like delta notation, I think, to implement this. But I like this notation right here as well. And anyway, hope you guys enjoyed.